Hail! Hail to the chief who in triumphant lances, honored and blessed be the evergreen pine.
I like orange hair.
May the tree in his
I like orange hair. It's okay. Nothing wrong with it. My mama and my daddy called me Donald too. But I call myself Professor UD Guru. I'm coming to you straight from Southern Mindanao. This here movie's about numerology. It's about Kamala. How do you say her name? Doesn't matter. Depends on which decade you ask her in, because she changes on that. This here's about Kamala Harris's personality, not according to some psychologist, because she hasn't taken all her friends' advice and gone to visit a psychiatrist. This here's about her numerology configuration. Now, numerology, in case you don't know, is similar to astrology. Numerology is a way of discussing somebody's personality without actually meeting the person. It's like astrology in that way. You add up the letters in their name with this certain thing. You look it up on the internet. I'm not going to waste your precious time trying to tell you about stuff that you can look up on the internet, or as I call it, the Akashic record. Many years ago, I got interested in numerology, and what I did was I read all the books on it, and I found out they're all full of crap. But I still was interested in it, so I took notes on all these books I read, and I gleaned from these books, which were trying to make detailed analysis of people's personalities based on the letters in their name. I gleaned from these books the commonalities in all the things that they were saying. I gleaned the commonality. So you got this configuration, then it's kind of like that, and you got that configuration, it's kind of like that. But I prefer to stick to generalities, and to be perfectly honest, we're not going to talk about what these various configurations mean. What we're going to do instead is something which I consider to be more relevant, which is we're going to talk about, there's 81 configurations. You got your vowels, you got your consonants, and they add up to something else. For example, mine is 3 for the vowels, 7 for the consonants, adds up to 10. You get rid of the 0, and that's a 1. So I'm a 371. There's 81 configurations total. I don't do the birth dates. I just do the letters. And then what's really relevant, I started out to say, is that you compare, if you find well-known people who people have some sort of idea what their personality is like based on their acts, their deeds, their actions, their movies they've been in, or the crimes they've committed, or whatever, the podcasts they've been interviewed on, whatever. And you compare people who have the same configuration. So in the case of Kamala. Let's call her Kamala. I've never heard anybody call her Kamala. So let's call her Kamala. In the case of Kamala, her numbers are 988. Okay, so let's look at the other folks who have 988 as their numbers, and let's see what other people have 988 as their configuration. Now, first, I'll say a little bit about 988. 9 is kind of an extreme number, like my 1. I have a 1, so I'm kind of an extreme number too. I already told you that. I'm a 371. 1 is at one end of the spectrum. 9 is at the other. We go from 1 to 9. So 9 is at the other end of the spectrum, and 8 is a number generally they talk about, like grandiosity or bigness or stuff like that. I'm not going to try to say what these numbers mean exactly. But I'm going to compare her to other people who have 988. And the other thing I want to say is she's got 2 8s. Okay, so when somebody has a number repeating, it means another extreme. So she got 2 reasons to say that she's extreme in her personality configuration. And the other thing I want to say about these configurations, in every single configuration, including mine, you're going to find famous bad people. That doesn't mean she's bad. She is, but that's not why. She's not bad because she's a 988. She's bad for, reasons of her very own. And I'm not bad because there's a 371 who's a serial killer or whatever, or someone who was on the nuclear commission and dressed up like a girl and stole suitcases from the airport. I don't identify as those particular habits, but we have the similar configuration, okay? We just did different stuff with them. So let's get on to the list of people who have the same configuration as Kamala. I think she's probably a nice person, until you get to know her. Anyway, let's start out with Charles Mills Maddox. I don't know how you pronounce his middle name. It's Milles. Charles Mills Maddox, a famous murderer, popularly known as, you guess it, Charles Manson. Okay, so our first contestant for competing with Kamala for 988ness is Charles Manson. I'll tell you what I like about Charles Manson. I like that they made a Hollywood movie not too long ago where Brad Pitt beats up all those people that come to kill Sharon Tate and her friends, beats the living crap out of them, and then they fail to hurt Sharon Tate, and everybody lived happily ever after. I liked that movie. I really did. Anyway, we all know who Charles Manson is. I don't have to go into any detail. Let's move right on to the next person, which is, I'm not going to tell you his name because he's a private person. He's a friend of mine, a former friend of mine. I haven't seen him in probably 30 years or so. You can tell I'm an old man, right? You want to see my gray hairs? Or some of them. I haven't turned all white yet. I'm only 68. I'm planning on getting old like in about 20 or 30 years. Maybe. Depending on the progress of science. They might invent immortality by then. Hard to say exactly. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you his name, but he was a great artist and extremely intelligent with a huge vocabulary, and he was physically strong and extremely capable. He could talk circles around anyone, unlike Kamala, who can't talk at all. But her talent is in a different area. You got your 988s, and then you got your 988s. Each one will use their same configuration in a different way, okay, because everybody's got their own astrology, for example. Everybody's got their own different parents and upbringing and blah, 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 okay? So everybody in a 988 configuration is going to use their talents in a different way. Their talents and their disabilities, whatever you want to call them. And my friend was a great artist, very, very detailed. He could draw anything in great detail and in any media, from colored pencils to paint to sculpture, anything you can imagine. And he was a daredevil. He loved kayaking. He loved whitewater. He was a daredevil. He would say anything he wanted to anybody, and he could say it. He was glib. He could just say exactly what was on his mind and say it in a way that made him sound very brilliant, which he was. Unfortunately, he was a junkie. When he started getting into hard drugs, I stopped hanging around with him, and I don't know where he ended up. I assume that he's either dead or used his talent at making fake IDs to move to a foreign country and start over as somebody else, because that's what he really needed to do, since he was such a good artist who so much enjoyed making fake bus passes and stuff. And you can find his, what do they call it? Mugshot online. There's several of them. Or you can also find online, well, you can't find it anymore because I bought it. It was a press photo of him giving artificial resuscitation to a dog his neighbor's dog who nearly died in a house fire from smoke inhalation. So I actually bought that photo because I can't find him. Nobody knows where he is. Anyway, another extreme. Like I say, all these people are going to have extreme personalities because they're 988. The next one is a girl named Demetria. Her middle name is Jean, Gene, and her last name is Guynes, also known as Demi Moore. Now, she is also a quadruple Scorpio, like my wife and like Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know much about her personality, but I know that she is a Hollywood producer who started out as a actress, and I believe she's kind of a hard hitter, kind of someone who gets what they want from other people. I'm just guessing. I haven't really looked into her personality, but I'd call her a boss type. I just feel that way. Maybe because I've seen some of her movies a long time ago, and it feels to me like she's someone who kind of gets her way. I'm not kidding. I'm just guessing. I haven't really researched her very much. I stopped being a fan of hers when she played a stripper in a movie, not because she played a stripper, but because she got fake tits, I think. I mean, come on now. Who needs that? That's just ridiculous. That's silly. The good Lord give you titties all your very own. Why you want to go get rubber ones? They look like basketballs with nipples on them. Give me a break. It just grossed me out, so I stopped watching her movies, but she's probably okay. I'm pretty sure she has kind of an extreme personality, too. Anyway, you go do your own research. Don't listen to me. Next on the list is a guy called Lawrence Gene David, a hilarious comedian and writer, the most sarcastic person in the world. I just love this guy's comedy. Popularly known as Larry David, the creator of Seinfeld, my favorite TV show in the whole world, which I recently watched every single episode over again because it's on Netflix right now where I live. I love Larry David. He is so funny because, I mean, have you seen the Three Stooges movie where he plays a nun? Oh my goodness, that guy is hilarious. He's just the funniest person ever born. I thought, I gravitate towards, I like sarcastic people. As long as they're not shooting their big old mouth off at me. So, let's move on to the next person in the list is, I can't pronounce his first name, Vladziu, Wladziu. His middle name's Valentino, and you know his last name is Liberace, the one and only showman of all time, the glitteriest showman of all time, the famous piano player and showman. How did I say that? Liberace. Every show he put on had to be more extreme than the last one. Okay. Liberace. I believe his last performance, he played Peter Pan coming down from the ceiling of this huge Las Vegas theater, flying down from the ceiling. Liberace. Okay, we don't have to belabor the point. An extreme personality. Jesse Adam Eisenberg. I think from what I read on his Wikipedia page, you might call him an extreme personality. Definitely. He's very, what you might call social anxiety. He can work in front of a camera, obviously. He's a good actor. But he says that he avoids people and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. He's a extreme social philanthropist and from an extremely social philanthropist liberal family. And there you go, another extreme personality. Who's this guy? Jacob Cockle. My notes say he's a daredevil surf photographer killed by his work. Okay, a daredevil. Okay, and surf photographer, so I assume that he took something a little too far and didn't survive the lack of judgment, or, I mean, people, not everybody was supposed to live forever, you know what I mean? Some people just want to have, some people have a lot of energy and it all wants to come out at once. And not all of these people live for a long time. Okay, it's like some people use up all their energy when they're young, and that's the end of their life. That's all. Okay, well, whatever. For example, the next person on my list, Sam Kinison, the screaming comedian. Hilarious. But short life, okay? And extremist of extremists, okay? Former Pentecostal preacher turned screaming comedian. I mean, this guy was funny. Then we got Kanye West. Kanye Omari West. Personally, I don't know anything about the guy, but I hear his name continuously by people who either love him or hate him, and that is the mark of an extreme personality. 988 is an extreme personality. All right, the next one, Sacha Baron Cohen. Come on now, is numerology interesting or not? Every one of these people is an extremist. I love Sacha Cohen, even though he's a liberal. I just think he's the funniest person that ever walked the face of the earth, because he knows no bounds. Nobody tells him what to think, do, or say. He probably hates Trump. I'm pretty sure he hated Ron Paul. I can't help it. He's just funny. I like him. Okay? But he is an extremist. Next on the list is this girl named Kamala Harris. Let's not talk about her. Everybody else is talking about her. We know what she's like. Next on the list, Wyatt Barry Stapp Earp. Wyatt Earp, the famous lawman on the Wild West. His middle name is Barry, B-E-R-R-Y, like the fruit. Stapp, S-T-A-P-P. His last name, E-A-R-P. Wyatt Barry Stapp Earp. His life was saved by the famed gambler, what's his name? Liberace? No. Doc Holliday. I used to walk up to Doc Holliday's gravesite every once in a while because I lived in the town where he died. Doc Holliday saved Wyatt Earp's life one day, and they became lifelong friends. Doc Holliday was a gambler and a gunslinger and an alcoholic, and Wyatt Earp was a famous lawman. I won't tell the story because I just watched it on YouTube, and I forgot most of it already, except that he was the angriest lawman in history. He spent most of his life seeking vengeance, because these bad guys, this gang of cattle rustlers, killed his brother and disabled his other brother, and trying to kill all three of them, because he and his brothers were the lawmakers in this famous Wild West town. What was it, Dodge City or something? I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, extreme personality. If you do the word kill, K-I-L-L, in numerology, 988. Just thought I'd mention it. I don't know if that means anything or not. Because, I mean, if you do a bunch of words in the English language, some of them work out the way you'd expect, but they don't all. So I don't have any opinion. I think numerology is interesting. I don't think it's conclusive. I think it's interesting, and it's a good conversation starter if you're talking to somebody that doesn't mind talking about oddball stuff. And then we've got Jose Enrique Menendez. Enrique is spelled E-N-R-I-Q-U-E. The father of the famous Menendez brothers, who are currently being resentenced after a new trial or something. They killed their parents, and no, everybody knows that. Well, they say that they had a good cause too, because their father was a horrific child molester, and their mother ignored it and let it happen year after year. And I've seen, a couple of different movies about them, and then there's going to be more coming out, or more already did come out, which I didn't watch. Jose Enrique Menendez. He was a record company executive, very successful, a Cuban immigrant to the United States. And if his sons are telling the truth, which they probably are to a certain degree, he had a extreme personality. Nobody knows the exact details except for him, and he's dead. And his sons probably know, and they might be telling the truth. Who knows? There's no way somebody's going to tell that about him. There's no way he's going to raise two murderers who kill him unless he has, in some fashion, an extreme personality, okay? And then the last one on the list is John Milton Chivington, who I personally don't know very much about this guy except for what I read on Wikipedia, so I'm just going to read you my notes from Wikipedia. John Milton Chivington, born 1821, died 1894, was a Methodist pastor and Mason, as in Freemason, who served as a colonel in the United States Volunteers during the New Mexico campaign of the American Civil War. He led a rear action against a Confederate supply train in the Battle of Glorieta Pass that had the effect of ending the Confederacy's campaigns in the western states, and was then appointed a colonel of cavalry during the Colorado War. Colonel Chivington gained infamy for leading the 700-man force of Colorado Territory volunteers responsible for one of the most heinous atrocities in American military history, the November the November 1864 Sand Creek Massacre. An estimated 70 to 600 peaceful Cheyenne and Arapaho Indians, in other words, about two-thirds of whom were women, children, and infants, were murdered and mutilated by Colonel Chivington and the volunteer troops under his command. Chivington and his men also took scalps and many other... I can't talk right now. Well, you go read it for yourself. I gotta go.